This episode is brought to you by Sweetwater. Yes, iGuitar. I'm finally coming out as a guitar player. I was in hardcore bands. I was a professional church musician. I made 2 albums, one at the end of high school, one at the end of college, and now I'm at the end of my marriage. I run a successful YouTube channel reviewing gear, but I've never done music stuff. One of the things that happened when I started moving from just playing guitar to recording music, like on my laptop, because you know that you're in the era now where you can actually make recorded versions of your terrible songs. And as I was moving from that stage of just playing guitar to recording, my relationship to guitar just shifted. It was like going from Sepultura to Jimmy Eat World. And there was just no looking back. So here's some advice from me about guitar. So you don't need to buy everything. Here's another piece of advice, okay? Play the room. Play the room. When you're playing guitar, you're playing a spaciousness. I play guitar in here and mic it in some ways that really inspire me. On a setup of pedals that are just like, it's pretty bad. Check out this Eros looper pedal with a MIDI Maestro. These guys sent these. I have been loving using them. More on a looper in a minute. The old guitar synthesizer, which I've had for forever, because I really was. Hey man, I had the Steve Vai albums, and I was really into Steve Morse. And then some pedals, okay? These 2 sent to me by Brian Wampler back in the day. This one is that UA Dream pedal I've been playing with, which a friend borrowed to me. Same friend borrowed me this. Thanks, Jason, and my ancient tuner. This is, okay, I've been playing for maybe 25 years. It's like a Tupperware top. Guitar has become so much about pedals to me because music has become so much about sound. I remember hearing Diplo in an interview a long time ago, and he was talking about making a song with Justin Bieber. It was the first time I heard someone say, we spent a lot of time just trying to find interesting sounds. And I realized since Radiohead's OK Computer, through Bon Iver or Bon Iver or whatever, like, yeah, I wanted to make music that had interesting sound. So it's time to switch my guitar playing up a bit. Whoa, this is big. In 2 ways, okay? 2 ways. Number 1, I'm gonna embrace the fact that I'm a over 40-year-old dude who's just a dad playing guitar. Number 2, I'm gonna embrace pedals. I have never been the kind of guy that has, closets full of pedals. I've never been chasing the gear to make the interesting thing. I used Tupperware for drums back in the day. I put my albums on Bandcamp. You can see what I'm talking about. But I am finally ready to become a pedal guy. Wow, that's not a very sexy reveal. This is a guitar pedal board. I'm gonna put it together now. First of all, check this out. Here's my really cruddy Fender Squire from back in the day. I just want to show you, because a lot of people haven't seen this. This is a pickup that is just for the guitar synth. Okay, it converts each individual string's vibration into a MIDI signal to the best of its ability, going out through a fatter, interesting cable. Why does this matter? I have 2 signal flow chains in my pedal board. The guitar and the synth. You always want to start out your guitar signal with a buffer. Many tuners have a buffer built in. Then I go into a compressor, then into the Clarksdale Delta Overdrive. It's just one I have. And more pedals from Wampler are gonna show up here. These are old. I don't even know if he sells these anymore. But this one, this old Tape Echo, has this wobble and all sorts of stuff that I'm sure he's emulated in other pedals, but this is all I've had for any modulation and weirdness, and I have gotten a sound through this with my twin reverb in open spaces that I just really like. Then I will be going through the Terraform, which is a modulation pedal, a bunch of different modulations. I mean, just so much stuff. And then a bonus gift from Sweetwater, the Wampler Metaverse. Sweetwater provided the whole pedal board and this and the cables and the power supply. Thanks, Sweetwater. Use my links below. It supports the channel and it lets Sweetwater know where you came from. A bunch of different delays in here. And then finally, this dream pedal, maybe at the end, because sometimes I can just bring this pedal board without having an amp. My old weird Fender Twin Reverb is just janky. It's weird. It's weird. It's nice to not have to rely on that sometimes, but it is nice to have it because it is freaking weird. And with this, I can just record directly out of this. Do you know about this pedal? I've played with it a bit. My friend Jason let me borrow it. It sounds really, really good. And I don't have to worry about room noise or trucks pulling up. Now, the synthesizer is very simple. I am just gonna go through one of these Wampler Metaverse pedals, get some interesting delay on that. I run this as a separate signal, this synthesizer, which is not, there's a lot of sounds. Most of them are very bad. But I run it as a separate signal through the house PA, or when I'm recording in my little space, through my hi-fi system, recording into a stereo microphone out in the middle of the room. So this is kind of one of the things I've had the most fun with recently. Close micing my guitar amp. All that you can hear the synthesizer through is in that reverberant space in the room. I can add and pull up a bass on top of my guitar, some weird like pad or sitar or who knows what. And being able to run that through a little bit of modulation, some delay, whatever we can do with this pedal just gives me the chance of messing it up a bit more. And finally, we have the Eros looper. This I'm gonna do a whole separate video on. This is what started all this stuff for me. One signal into one channel here, and from another signal into another channel here. And then if I can fit it somehow, I'm gonna try to get this, everything's moving. This is the MIDI Maestro, which just gives me more control of the looper. We'll see how this works. This is what Sweetwater sent over from Gator Cases. We've got one thing to plug into the wall, and then we've got 8 spots, 12 volt DC, 18 volt DC, 12, 12, 12, 4 to 9, 4 to 9, and these have some little turny bits for, I guess, turning up the power, bro. It also has some adjustable voltage dip switches. Here we go. As I'm putting this thing together, let me just wax with some advice, not that you asked. I already mentioned that you don't need to buy everything. Sometimes there's a sound you're looking for, you gotta, I mean, watching a YouTube video where I'm putting together a pedal board telling you you don't need to buy everything, I get it, that sucks. But you don't. You gotta be able to be loud, you gotta be able to have some grit and distortion if that's what you're into. I used to do a thing where I would like wrap up toilet paper under the strings next to my bridge and just get weird sounds on the acoustic guitar when I was recording. I didn't need to buy a pedal for that. Gear has always been important to me as a creative person since my bootleg versions of Photoshop as a poster maker back in the day, to half stacks in hardcore bands so I could be loud enough, all the way to like borrowed cameras and investing in lights. I mean, this shot looks pretty good because of the gear that I'm using. That said, that's like a $4 light. And I've spent hours of my life messing with this gear. I've gotten to know it well. That said, you do not need to buy everything. It can be real easy to feel like that in the world of like YouTube gear reviews. I played acoustic guitar for a really long time. In fact, this was the very first guitar. This was my mom's guitar. I found it in a basement of my grandparents' house. It had 2 strings on it. I used to play it when I went to the bathroom. That's where the guitar stuff all got started for me. And then it was electric for forever, and then for the past 10 years it's been acoustic. It's just, I didn't have the willpower to set up an amp and be loud and stuff, but that's changed. Listen well. It's so easy to be a schlocky guitar player wanking around and not listening to the band, not listening to other people. Guilty. Listen, as a musician, listen well and value the group dynamic. Sometimes as guitar players and I guess as people, we get stuck in ruts. We get stuck playing the same sounding crap. I don't have advice for you on that. I get stuck there. Listen to lots of music. Listen to Wes Montgomery and Radiohead and Toto. Listen to lots of music and occasionally learn some of the stuff. You can learn a lot by learning things that you like. That said, I really have not done a lot of that. There's a saying in the acting, film directing world, do it again, do it once more with feeling. I find that in guitar, you have to learn it all and then just drop into your feeling. It's like that thing about jazz, like you learn it all and then you forget it. Being in your feeling body whilst playing an instrument can be very powerful at communicating resonance, which I think is probably what you're going for. You probably don't want a bunch of dudes in the back going like, whoa, this guy wails, or damn, she's good at guitar. You probably want someone going like, that was really good. Or being like, hell yeah, man, that was sick! You may have heard the saying before, mo gear, mo problems. That can happen. I had a fever anxiety dream about I was opening up for U2 and I was worried my pedals weren't gonna work. So, you know. Who needs that? There's so much equipment out there that can model everything and everything's hiding behind a screen. You gotta get in and fiddle around and find stuff and messing with it. I really like the pedal mindset of this box does this thing really well. I'm so interested in trying out these modelers because it would be really amazing if you're going to gigs and you just have one little box and everything's super trusty. But I'm loving the way that pedals have always kept their promises. These Wampler pedals, arguably the Terraform and the Metaverse, are really capable complex pedals that have so many different effects in there. I'm gonna be using them as one effect. I'm probably just gonna use the Terraform for chorus. I'm probably gonna use the Metaverse for a longer delay, and then the Wampler tape delay as my like kind of slap back with a little bit of modulation. Final piece is 2 parts. Number 1, just get lost in with it. Right? Start messing with stuff. Just get in, get your hands dirty, start messing with it. Number 2, learn how to listen with producers' ears. There has been a long process for me of learning how to see my creative work a little more judgmentally, a little more separated from it. It's like I'm out of body, zooming out a little bit. Because we gotta learn when you're yanking your own chain. When you're making something that's really nice to listen to, that's interesting, you wanna be able to tell. And when you're just up your own ass with so much boring look at me bullshit, you also want to be able to tell, but sometimes we just can't help it. Okay, what have we learned here? This is not how it's gonna stay for forever. This is just my first take. That's why it's Velcro, right? Number 2, I probably should have just put a long strips of Velcro on the board itself. Number 3, I just need it to look visually like, oh, this is going this way, this is going this way, this is the looper stuff. That feels useful to me. I mean, this thing is massive, but I'm super stoked to have everything on one board. Just about everything on the board is 9 volt, including the guitar synthesizer, but the amperes are different, so I still have some research to do, and it's getting late. I just want to see if it works. We got lights? We got lights. I mean, the dream of being able to walk around. Yeah, does the bag work? Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah, that's great. I think that's going to work just fine, even with these things. As long as I have them up at the top where the handle is, and we're not setting it down on them, should be okay. Famous last words. This handle is surprisingly well made. Nice padding inside of here and actually a hard thing sewn into here. Look at this heavy duty bar tacking and some clips to put on a shoulder strap. Holy shit, that looks good. The fact that I could pick up the whole thing and just move it. Goodness, what a dream. Okay, so I'm gonna set this up. This is my Sound Devices mix pre. It's got 4 inputs here, and then I've got a little OmniCharge battery that I power it with. All right, it's working. Sorry about the glasses. It's bright in here and it's definitely my bedtime. And I'm trying not to stimulate my nervous system. Besides, my dad says I look really cool in these. But I'm blocking that blue light, baby. One of the best things about guitar is dreaming. Dreaming that what you're doing is actually good. Thanks to Sweetwater and Brian Wampler for bringing this to life. Okay, what did we learn? What did we learn, everyone? Here's the card from my recorder downstairs. I hope what we got was good. I hope what we got was good. And I'm not gonna apologize for the glasses. They're cool, man. My dad says they're cool. I am so excited about having all of that in one coherent little defined package. That makes a huge difference. I do not have a reverb. I really want a reverb. Do you have any advice on what reverbs to get? I want to have some big, My dream is to have a lot of different sounds with one guitar, one pedal board, and basically be able to make lots of live looping kind of stuff. And be able to be like a one-man production house with all of those kinds of sounds, just using guitar. Like all my keyboard sounds, guitar. All my bass is just one little thing. You know, my favorite thing about, gosh, I'm tired, is that I get to discover what notes to play next, and that there isn't a right answer. That if you can, this sounds so dumb, if you can vibe it hard enough, you can make me vibe with you, maybe. But music is a totally fickle, different, eye of the beholder kind of thing. You may not dig it at all. Just because it sounds like stuff you've heard before doesn't mean it's good. I'm super grateful to Sweetwater for sending out that Gator pedal board and a couple of those pedals. Super grateful for Brian Wampler sending out a couple other pedals. I am grateful for you for watching. Like I said, I review gear all over the place, and it's never been musical gear up to now. Not that this music channel's just gonna be music gear from here on out, but like, feels good to presence that part of me. All right, that's it. Be yourself. Everyone else is taken. Bye.